Mwasibire muta, mwasibye mutya, amahoro, agandi, byaibo, habari gani, muraho, sangonini, kopango, odeo. For those of you who are wondering what that was, these are some of the various local greetings found in East Africa's diverse languages. Welcome to SheCentre, the female podcast, where I dive into the issues and experiences that affect women everywhere. I am your host, Resti Kansime, and I am passionate about creating a safe space for women to share their stories and triumphs. I want to thank you for tuning into my podcast, and I would love for you to join our community and stay connected with us beyond this episode. You can find us on Instagram at _SheCentre_podcast and follow us on Facebook at the SheCentre Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and hit that follow and like button on our social media to be part of the conversation. I personally consider myself a global citizen. Not only was I raised by a mom who was millions of miles away living in Europe, but her twin sister, who is also my mother, was living in America. So I had to learn how to adapt to different cultures at a really young age and always ask questions. And my mind was always beyond Uganda, beyond Africa. And through social media and my studies here in Germany, I have been able to connect with people from different countries and learn about their cultures. I also belong to an international church, which has allowed me to make so many friends and connections with people all over the world. And I have personally grown from the experiences of these people. And I would say that also a global sisterhood is something that I have always imagined would be possible, because I've been listening to a lot of women out there who have podcasts and YouTube channels where they talk about different things that can help women. And I would say I've learned so much from them and joined those communities as an outsider, but felt like I was part of the group. So that is why I have been mentioning from the beginning that the aim of this podcast is not only to help women in Uganda and East Africa, which is my main major region, but also to grow the community to be global. Otherwise, how else would I make our stories from Uganda and East Africa universal if I didn't have this global sisterhood? I looked at my statistics for the podcast, and it was quite amazing that, of course, my largest group of listeners is coming from Africa, and then Europe and North America and Asia. I haven't had someone living in South America listen to my podcast, but I do know that I have a couple of friends from South America who have been listening to my podcast. And today we have one of them joining us as our guest. My very first international guest is from Brazil, but living in Germany. Her name is Talita Estrela. She and I met last year. We were working together until the beginning of this year. And she is someone whose life has really inspired me. It took us a while to get to know each other, a few weeks, because of our characters. They are completely different. But when we connected, we realized that our stories were bound by destiny, I would say. We had visions to build platforms for people, to help people. And she was already doing this. I learned so much from her. And she started out her own company called Alles Gut, which literally translates to mean all is good, all is okay, where she is helping students, people who want to work and study in Germany to come and relocate here. She helps guide them. She helps them to adapt when they get here. And not only have I brought her to share her story because of the work that she's doing, but also because her life is very inspiring. I feel like we can all learn from each other. I've said this several times, but today we get to hear from someone who comes from a country other than Uganda or Kenya or Tanzania or Burundi, to show that we are all women and we can all experience similar things, even if we're living distances away. So thank you so much once again for everyone who has been listening, for the downloads, for all those that pushed me to start a YouTube channel. I already did. You can always check it out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please subscribe, please follow. And yeah, let's get into this conversation with Talita. Hi, Talita.
Hi, Rusty.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you very
Th-
much for this opportunity here today.
yeah, I thank you so much for really being instant. This is really, really good. I'm really happy about that. So, welcome to SheCentre. I know you have seen me start with this whole process from when we were working last year, and I was
Yes,
telling you we were both planning our companies for the future, and we kind of really drove each other.
yes.
You are my first international guest, so yay!
Honor, thank
I don't really
you.
see you much of an international person. I feel like you're from Africa, though. Because we
Thank you for
relate so
that.
much. We relate so much, yes. And
Yes.
yeah, so welcome. Maybe you can start off by just introducing yourself and telling us about your childhood, where you come from, and how, I would say, how has your childhood impacted the person that you are right now and how you see the world? So,
So my name is Talita Estrela. I come from Brazil, and I am the oldest child from out of three.
oh,
Um, my childhood actually was really nice. I have a great childhood, so I played a lot, my siblings. But there was one thing that actually I just realized it later, which actually had a great impact on the person that I am today.
yeah.
Um, I am like a mixed child. I have a mom with bright skin color, and my father who has a heritage from Africa. But it turns out that we had more contact with my mother family, and I was the only one different from my cousins, from my sister, from my mom. But we didn't learn to talk about. My father would never bring this up. So for some reason, I was always trying to fit in a reality, although it was my family, my blood related family, but I couldn't see myself, identify myself. But I kept doing so, living as I could, the best as I could. I felt like something was missing. You know, I was the only one with so short. Actually, that back that time, I used to straighten my hair just to feel like them, to be more identity with them. Uh, Another thing that happened to me when I was a child was that I grew up too quickly. So when I was 8 years old, I was using my first BH. So
Oh.
I was a big girl. And
For, maybe you can explain what beer is for some people who don't know what
I
that
don't know the
is.
name in English. Help me.
Is it a
Bera.
bra?
Bra.
Ah, okay.
Bra.
I had a feeling. Okay.
Thank you.
So when
And
you were, wait, you started when you were at what age?
eight, 8 years
Oh,
old,
wow.
I was
Yes,
using my first
yes, yes. How was that for you in school?
for me it was uncomfortable because actually I was already looking like a teenager, but I was a child. But
Yeah.
my father came to me and said, Talita, uh, you looks like you are turning 25. This was on my 12th birthday.
Wow.
My father, because I was so big and he didn't want to see me like running with the other children because the people would think that I had some problem.
Yeah.
So he kept cutting me, saying, no, if you look like you are an adult, you have to behave as an adult.
Oh, wow.
And then one day, actually, my father was really clever. I have no idea if he had this in mind when he called me and he asked me, I was 12 years old at that time, and he asked me if I wanted to go to Disneyland. And I said, yes, of course, father, of course I want to go to Disneyland. And then he said, okay, here's a book. Read this book. If you read the first chapter of this book, you are going to Disneyland. And I said, oh my God, this is amazing. We were back then, so like, yeah, average class, lower in Brazil. And I took that book and I read not only the first chapter, but the second, third. So I read as much as I could, and the book was really, really interesting. And I came back to my father saying, Father, I already read the book and what are the next steps? So to Disneyland. And Papa said, haven't you understood what I mean? So if you read this book and you do what this book is saying, you are going not only to Disneyland, but you are going everywhere. You will
Oh,
rest
wow.
around the world and just
I get
trying
it
to,
now.
you know.
Wow. What was the book about?
In Brazil, it's really hard to get into the university. Now it's easier, much easier than when I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
And the test, the exam to get into the university was really, really hard. And then people
Yeah.
started to get ready for this so as much earlier as possible. And then I was 12, and the book was How to Pass the Exam, how to think faster, how to
Wow.
learn, how to be smarter.
That's a really good book for a 12-year-old
Yes.
old though.
Yes, it's a
Wow.
really good book. But so I was 12 years old. What made me read and have the interest for the book was the fact that I thought I would go to Disneyland.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end, in the first moment, of course, I got a bit frustrated and disappointed with my father. But when the time passed by, I could understand because I had the chance to apply what I read. I was still, when I was 12, after reading this book, I thought to myself, you know what? I will start working. I will start getting my own money. And I asked my father if he could give me some money to start a small business. Like, I wanted to do some chocolates to sell in my
Oh,
school.
so your business venture started when you were younger. Now
Yes,
it makes
yes,
sense.
yes. Actually,
Yes.
this book, it was a game changer, you know. And I know that my father did that because he wanted to take me away from playing with the children because I was too big.
Ah, okay.
He
Were you
told me
just mature big or like big, big?
both,
Both.
both.
Ah, okay.
I was
Okay.
big, so physically, and then my father helped me to get out so mentally mature. And he told me, if you are 12, but you look like you are 25, then you have to behave as 25. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You will read as
Yeah.
many books as I can give you to read, and I hope this will help you. So yeah, so somehow at the end it was really nice because by the age of 12, I asked my father the money for to start doing my chocolates. And my father said, no, no way, Talita. I'm giving you money, you make a first batch, and then that's it. You sell it, and then we lose all the money, and there is no second batch. And then I tried to tell him that actually I learned from the books that no, I know how to keep the capital and for the next batch. And then he said, no way. Then I went to my grandma and I told her my plans of start working. And my grandma also was amazing. She made a big difference in my life that day because she took her purse and she just took a talon of checks and she gave me a blank check, only signed and her ID. She said, Talita, here you have a blank check. My ID is just one, so check. Make sure that you can find everything you need in one store. I remember so going to my bathroom with this blank check and thinking in my head, man, I can go to Disneyland.
Yes, that
I
was
am
a
not going
test.
to make any chocolates. I have a blank check that I can put here. So whatever amount of money in my head, of course, I was a child. I wasn't so thinking about my grammar and everything. But at the same time, I just felt like the Holy Spirit telling me, Talita, you cannot mess up with this big opportunity to show that actually you are a very reliable person. You are worthy to be trusted. You are
Yeah. Yes.
trustworthy. So, and then I said, no, this is I will take this chance to show my grandma, my father, and everybody around me, so that I am a reliable person. So,
Wow.
long story short, I made bonbons, so chocolates in school for 3 years. My father never
Wow.
gave me money again for my own stuff.
Wow. From 12 years old.
Yes, so from 12 till 15, everybody in the school knew it. So that I used to sell
You
those
were the
chocolates.
chocolate girl.
Yes, I was the chocolate girl for example, Valentine's Day or some special Mother's Day.
Wow.
I was having so very cute um, packaged
Oh,
with homemade chocolates. And whenever I wanted to buy something special. For example, I remember one day I wanted to do some to buy a pair of shoes. I made the math. So how many chocolates I have to sell this week to buy this shoe? It
wow.
was much more than I used to sell in school. So I made a big batch, put on a basket, and I just walk all the main avenues on my city, selling to people. So it was really a nice experience.
That's really amazing because what I'm knowing who you are right now, it makes a lot of sense why you are always thinking business. Whereas, like from the first time we met at the office, you were always telling me, I have a business. I'm like, wait, there's foreigners who own businesses in Germany. I'm like, okay, that's quite interesting. So, you've said so much about your childhood. What I would like to for you to kind of like expand on, first of all, where in Africa, like, where's your dad's lineage from in Africa? If do you know that?
No,
You don't know.
unfortunately.
Yes, yeah, but is you said something about because I've seen your pictures of your sister, and I would definitely say, okay, they look alike, but there's something different. Like you have an afro, and she has like really slick hair. So how you say that's something that made you see yourself different? How has this impacted your life and how you moved on from childhood?
I learned to be very. Actually, when I was 7 years old, I was kind of going in this bitter pathway because of being so different. I was tall, the tallest girl. I was too big. I was not a child when I was still a child, and everything was like bothering me a lot. And then there was a day that we were in a birthday of a cousin where I used to get all the children stuff. So, and that day, uh, I don't want to so extend too much this story, but that day I heard for the very first time the Holy Spirit telling me, Talita, are you not can you not see you are special? Actually, you are special. After hearing that, I start living my life in a very more optimistic way. Everything that would happen to me that I would feel like less or different or not included or something like that, I would just thinking, I don't care. I know I am special. I know
Yeah.
I am different for a reason. And so my mom used to straighten my hair since I was 2 years old. And I can understand. She wants me to feel part. But when I was 17, this was when I said, you know what? From now on, I made braids. I will do something different. Um, yeah, so this was something, it was the first time that I start facing who I really am. It was in this age from 16 to 18, but it was not easy for me because I needed
Yeah.
to redesign my whole identity.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yes, so actually I cried a lot. It was not easy, but God kept, teaching me like, Talita, what is important in this life? It's not to have a long hair. It doesn't matter actually. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. I know that many women, and I can understand, it's also part of a woman identity to feel this power in the hair.
Yeah.
But God told me, don't worry, you have different ways to explore your power. So, actually, I just stopped putting chemical stuff in my hair 3 years ago when I got married with a man that he said, Talita, no more chemical stuff in your hair. Let your hair be as it is. And it's beautiful. And I love your hair. So
I love your hair too. It's really thick. I love the afro.
thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. And for me, there are so much freedom. There is so much freedom in this. It's really hard to explain because I
Short
can.
hair is amazing.
Yes, and actually, it demands a lot of authenticity. It demands a lot of
Yes.
self-confidence, you know. Short
Yes,
hair,
yes.
not only a short hair, but a
An
black power
afro.
hair.
Definitely, yes. It tells a story as well. Like if you
Yes.
tell someone I'm from Brazil, they cannot put you in a box because normally they would expect someone in a, the Brazilian hair. I own Brazilian hair. I bought
Oh,
a lot.
yes.
I bought it a lot of money. When you hear someone is from Brazil, you imagine,
The
flowy
wigs, you
hair.
mean?
We pay so much money for this hair. So if someone says I'm from Brazil and they have an afro, now you're like, what's your story? I'm really interested to know. So that's really, really amazing because I had a friend at the university in Cologne and she's from Brazil as well, but her hair is sleek. But she was like, I could tell there's something about her style. Like she was always interested in print. Every time I came back from holidays, I would always bring like the African jewelry and stuff. And she was the most excited person. Like she always wore something that made her. And she told me one time, she was like, my ancestors were from Africa. It was so interesting, but it's your identity somehow always finds you somewhere, one way or another. It was really interesting about this. Her name is Anais, and she always like her style is something that you can look at her and say, there's something different about
Something
you.
about her.
Yeah, so that's quite interesting. Okay, so please tell us about when I know you've told me like there's a time we sat down and you told me everything about your life. So I'm gonna pick on a few things. Tell me about the time when you decided to go learn English in Canada. I was really, really like that's one of the apart from your wedding, your marriage story. This is one of my favorite stories about your life. Tell us about that.
Yeah, what happened to me was that when I was by the age of 16 or even younger, when I was maybe 13, 12, 14, at school, English was the subject that I had more difficult. Why? My father was always self-employed. And he didn't used to make vacation. We were not that kind of family who once per year would travel. No, no. My father was working so whole year, and when we had so vacation at school, we would stay home and do nothing. Or sometimes we would do something, go somewhere. But even though in Brazil is too big, where you go, you will still be speaking Portuguese. In my head, I had no reason to learn English. I could understand. I couldn't. So for me, it was really hard. And then my teacher screamed with me once saying, Talita, you are not going to learn. Stop to make questions. Stop. You are bothering the class, and I'm so tired of
In
your
the English
questions.
class?
Yes,
Oh,
the
wow.
English class. I was so humiliated, and at the same time, I didn't reply to her. I was not, disrespectful to her, but I took the words to my heart. And I thought to myself, you know what? I don't need this language. I don't need this language. What for? It doesn't matter where we go. We can still speak Portuguese. Actually, I thought
Yeah.
the whole world speaks Portuguese.
Really? Wow. Yes,
I
that's
was
what
like a
happens if you've
little
never
naive.
gone outside. Yeah.
I was very
Yeah.
naive. So actually, I was not even worried about. And then when I am public relation. I was already in the university, and I found a very nice opportunity for scholarship in a multinational company which was starting in Brazil back then, and it was like one vacancy for 30 people. It was 5 rounds, the selection process. And I have been selected.
Oh, wow.
I was amazed, for me it was like living the dream because the all the benefits of this scholarship was amazing, and I got it. It was mine. I got the final call saying, Talita, congratulations, it's yours. So you can start
Wow.
working. And then I went to my first day work
Was this in Brazil?
in Brazil, in my hometown. I was 21. I was 20 years old. Um, and I have this entrepreneur, corporation thing in me. So I thought I was just starting my successful career in a big company. Um, on my first day, I just met the person who was my direct superior. And he was really excited, telling me a lot of things, and I was just, so trying to keep everything so together. And then when we sat in a round table, he said, Talita, there is just a small detail. Your contract is going to start exactly when we have a new rule, because we are an international company. So now, from now on, all new employee has to have at least basic English.
Oh,
And I was like, what?
come on.
Come on. And he was like, no worries. He just took a book on the shelf, put in front of me.
For you to learn English, right?
And it was a book, so I don't know what kind of, no, it was a novel. I don't know, a book, I don't know, an English book, but not a learn English book.
Oh, wow.
And he just put it on the front of me, and he said, Talita, you can open any page, read any sentence. I just need to know that you know that you did it, so I can check here. Yes, basic English. Probably he himself didn't speak any English, but I got frozen. I
Wow.
couldn't move. I couldn't open the book. I didn't touch the book. And I told him I can't. And he says, Talita, any sentence. Actually, he was like, almost like, pretend. Pretend you did. You can do it. And I haven't done. I couldn't touch the book. I was so frustrated. And I told him, sorry, I can't. I can't. And he said, I'm sorry, I can't contract you. And I left. And I lost this
Wow.
opportunity. And this was like, I took really a long time to overcome this one. I got really pissed with English. I couldn't hear the word English. But God had other plans for me. And 2017, I managed. I wanted to come back to Germany
Oh, you had been to Germany
many
before this.
times, many times. I was au pair Mädchen here, and amazing because I came here every year from 2006 till 2017.
For au pair or for just touring?
For au pair was a year. Then I came to vacation. I was also au pair for 2 years in Austria. Are you there?
Yes, sorry. My phone just... Yeah, just keep talking. It's my camera.
I was au pair for 2 years in Austria, which of course it was easy to come. And for the other years, I just came for vacation. 2017, I was coming back to Germany to study an MBA. And I took the test direct with the school, and I passed. Actually, of course, I used to learn, I was learning English somehow, very poor English yet. It was more vacation English. But they accepted me in this school, in this business school. It was a private school. I think that's why they don't
Yeah,
care
they
too much.
just...
As long as you pay,
Yeah.
it's your
Yeah.
problem.
Was this the one in Munich? In Munich? The business
Yes,
school is in Munich? Yes,
the
okay.
business school in Munich, but not the Munich business school. It was a different.
Yeah.
Uh, and God was so amazing that He gave me the opportunity to go to Canada to learn English before. I went to Canada for 6 weeks for English learning. I came back to Brazil. In 1 week, I was coming to Germany to start my MBA.
Oh.
So
So
it
you had to
was,
learn English in 6 weeks.
yeah, of course it didn't happen. Actually, I was sitting in my class of MBA, not understanding a word. So
Wow.
I needed to learn double. On the next day, I would be reviewing the whole content, not only in English, but in Portuguese to understand the content and then learn the content in English to be able to make the
Oh,
exams.
yes. Yeah.
Of course, at the end, yeah, it's here. My English is not the best thing that I can do,
Oh,
but I
it's
hope you
really
are
good. Trust
understanding
me.
me.
It is really good. There's so many people who come from English speaking countries and they wouldn't. I think it's the motivation. You know, like how
Yeah.
people come to Germany and find themselves doing a bachelor's or master's course in German. They
Uh-huh.
put in more effort than the person who
Yes.
already knows the language. So
Yes.
you actually always speak it. You might never speak it as fluent, but your grammar is actually much better than so many people who come from
Thank
English
you.
speaking countries. So I would tell you that you really did a good job because this was just recently when you had
Yes.
to learn everything.
No, it's really recent that I can speak,
Yeah.
that I can, be able here to speak in English. I wouldn't do
Yeah.
this before. And actually, I finished my master for the very first time in my life. I didn't pass one subject. I didn't to retake the exam, the final exam, which was for me like
Was
almost
it too
traumatizing.
wordy? Was
Huh?
it so theoretical, the exam that you didn't pass? Or did it have something to do with your English or something else? Or the
No, I
frustration
think
from having to do double?
no, and it didn't have to do actually with my English, but I just got to know later. It is a statistic. It was a statistic. I am not a mathematic person. I am
Me
a
too.
human person. So for you,
Me too.
so humanities majors,
Yeah.
um, and that's why I couldn't understand the logical behind it. So, but once I got to sit and learn for to retake the final text, then I saw that actually that wasn't so
Yeah.
difficult as I thought.
Yeah. And tell us about, for instance, you told me that when you were, because you sponsored yourself to come here. I know private schools are really expensive. I
Yes.
went to public school, so I know private schools are really expensive. So you sponsored yourself. How did you manage to plan this? I know that you were doing some kind of business to help people to come here. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I
Yes.
do know that there's so many people who are limited by where they think they are. Like I would say I'm living in Uganda, and someone says, "Oh yeah, it would be good for you to do your masters in a different country," and the first thing I say is it's expensive. I stop
Yes.
there. But you said you did au pair, you did so many things, and through that you integrated yourself into the country, and then you managed to later come back and study. So how was
Yeah.
that process for you to move here to do your MBA in a private university? Because I know you guys pay double. We paid nothing.
Ah, actually, for me, it was like really living the dream because I had the dream, in my heart, I felt like I'm going to study one day in this country when I was still au pair. But for an au pair reality, it was too expensive. After being au pair twice, because I have been au pair also in Austria, I was back to Brazil when I started working in a exchange agency for people who want to go abroad, to study abroad. This is why I start having more contact with English. That's why my English was like not too bad, but impossible to have a conversation. But the point is that I started working in an agency in 11 months. I start my own. Actually, I bought on franchising of one of the agencies in Brazil. I had this agency for 5 years. And one day that actually I was not expecting, not at all. It was everything going very well. I have never made so much money in my life with so much fun.
Yeah.
I used to have my own apartment. So life was like done. I just needed to manage, you know. I had it was my own company, which always has been a dream. I was making a reasonable amount of money monthly. I had my own apartment. living close to my work. So, like, I could just keep this forever and being stable. But God had different plans for me. One day that I was not expecting at all, I heard the voice of the Holy Spirit telling me, Talita, you are going to sell your part. And I said, what? How comes? I have never crossed my mind to sell my business. It's like selling my goat eggs goose.
Yeah.
And the Holy Spirit just said, yes, that you are hearing right. You are going to sell your business. This was end of April. In the end of April, this idea, this voice. Everything happened, and I had my last time in my agents on June 3rd. Was the last day. Everything sold, transferred. I had already my application for Germany, my application to Canada in 2
For
months.
school.
Everything was, done. For the plans that I have never thought before. I would never expect to come back to Germany like this. But selling my business, I managed to sell 14 times more
Then
than I
how much
invested.
you bought in? Oh, wow. Wow.
In 5 years, my initial investment, gave me 14 times more. So
Wow.
this was amazing, much more than I expected. And that's why I was able to pay for my studies here.
So what made you decide between Canada and Germany? There's a
Yes,
huge
that's a good
difference between
question.
those. Yeah.
Actually, because in the first moment I thought I was going to Canada because Canada was a country where it would be possible to study and work at the same time. Germany, I wasn't aware of this possibility in Germany.
To work.
And in Canada, it would be a college. For a person who has already a bachelor, a college is like a degree below, a little below, you know? So, but I was okay with that. I said, no problem. As long as I do what I have to do, if I feel like I have to go, I go. But then it was already one of my last days in the agency where I was working. When I saw in our internet from the agents, like work and study in Germany, but it has to be high education. It has to be either graduation or
Oh,
above, which would be for me higher than my degree.
yeah.
It was so when I saw, I felt excited, but I knew it would be much harder than in Canada. But then I said, so I always dreamed to come back to Germany to study and to live here. And then I just felt it's the time. And if God is
Yeah.
calling me, I don't care how hard it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I'm
that was
going
really
to.
good. I think that was a really good decision because if you said you really struggled to study in Germany, I can imagine how hard it could have been because the accents are completely different in Canada compared
Yes,
to whoever is teaching in Germany. Yes,
yes.
okay. So when you got here, tell us a little bit about your after school when you decided to start your own company. I really love your company. We used to talk so much about it when we were at work.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Actually, after graduation, it was so amazing because in the last term, I got a scholarship, like a work student job, which was just 4 hours a day in a multinational company, in a big Indian company here in Germany. They work with technology, an amazing company. And I was there like work student. Uh, in that, with 6 weeks that I was there, my director superior resigned, and they gave me her vacancy. So I
Please tell this story to us the way you told it to me, because it was so amazing how you ended up getting the job.
although I was work student,
Yeah.
I just kept my attitude as a professional. So I went to work always dressed up. I treated people, politely, and I was able to
Yeah.
talk with everyone. So people could not, get that actually I was the scholarship girl. It says so.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
that it was just at the scholarship.
Yeah. Was
And
it like, is this like an internship you mean?
internship. This is the word
Internship.
that I
Okay.
want to learn.
Yeah.
So
Also, you didn't look like an intern. You looked like you were like a
no,
paid.
no. Everybody would be like, "What are you intern? Really? You don't look like intern because you are, so mature and you have already experience." And a lot
Yes.
of people in our sector, start calling me to get their problems resolved. And they were, "Oh, thank God, there is someone new there." And then one day, my superior, she was younger than me, a little bit younger, not much, a bit younger. And actually, I don't know if she felt like maybe jealous, I don't know, but she gave me an assignment to do, which, just nonsense. And then I start make some questions like, why? What is the priority here? Just for me to understand. And she was like, I don't have to explain you. You are here intern. Actually, you don't have respect for the hierarchy. I can see that you are not going to work here long because you don't know how to behave yourself. She was like, attacking me for nothing. And then I am older and mature. And I was like, okay, also, I just want to understand. If you don't reply me, I cannot do it. I was like peacefully, but also provoking her. And at the end, she just, lost the nuts. And she yelled
Yeah.
at me, blah, blah, blah. And we started arguing. And at the end, when I went home, she said, you won't stay. You won't stay here because, it's not for you.
Was this a woman?
Yes. I went home very sad, because I felt so injustice. And I was praying like, God, why everything was, going well so far, and I'm learning, I am happy. I see here so many possibilities, and now for nothing, I may lose my job. And I felt the Holy Spirit telling me, Talita, you know what to do. She is your boss. You have to apologize. It doesn't matter how mature, professional, blah, blah, blah you are. You have to respect her and,
Yeah.
to submit yourself to her. Then I was like, okay, I can do that. I went to work the next day, completely decided to apologize with her. At the moment I entered the room, she said, I need to talk to you. Thank God I started first. I said, sorry, please, forgive me for yesterday. And she said, Talita, I resigned. For me, yesterday was the last drop. I don't want to stay here anymore. And I was like, oh my God, no, please don't
Because of
stay.
you?
I had the feeling it was like because of me, but at the same time, I knew it. Actually, I was the last drop. But she was already like
Frustrated, yeah. Yeah.
frustrated. So, but the last drop was because of me. Of course, this came on my account. And then I was like, please don't do that. Go there and take your job back. And she said, no, I already gave my letter, my resign letter. So I will be over I'm gone in 4 weeks. And then I said to work, but was like, oh my God, what is happening? It's getting worse and worse. And then the boss, the super boss, her boss, which I myself didn't have so much contact, didn't have so much contact, he called me. And then I went to his room and he said, Talita, did you heard what happened, right? And I was like, sorry. And I said, yes, I have heard. And he said, I want you to take her place. And I was like, what? She will kill me.
Wow.
And then he said, yes, so now try to learn as much as you can with her. I will tell her she has um, to pass everything to you and you are taking over. And I was like, okay, I have to think because actually he asked me, so how much is your salary for a full-time job? And then I told him, no, I have to think about it. Translating, I have to pray about it. Uh, and I went home and I was like, God, I can't take this place because the responsibility is too high. I cannot even understand what they are doing here. So God,
You felt unqualified for the job.
I felt unqualified, so somehow I felt unqualified, not for not knowing what they do there, but not for feeling able to express myself at the level,
They could, yeah.
the sector did request. So I said this to God, and I felt the Holy Spirit telling me, Talita, if you are not qualified, let them to tell you that.
Yeah.
Do not anticipate it. You do not tell yourself you are not qualified. Let them to do that.
Yeah.
To yourself, you are the most qualified person.
Yeah.
And then I thought, talking to God, I said, okay, let's do so. I go if you are with me. If I am alone on this, no chance, no shots. I'm not coming. I'm not taking. I don't care. I can stay in
Yeah.
internship. I'm happy. But if you are with me, then maybe. But I need a sign. And then God told me, so ask for a sign. What do you want for a sign? And then came to my mind my visa. I was still as an internship with student visa. And then I searched for the best visa a person could have. And I heard about the blue card.
Yes.
But I am public relations, so this kind of profession are not in the list who benefits the person to
Yeah.
have a blue card. Actually, it's quite hard to have a blue card if you are not in the list of need professions.
Yeah, so I'll just explain what the blue card is. So basically, blue card is a visa that you get that allows you to work in the whole of Europe. And
Yes.
it's reserved for highly qualified personnel. In many cases, you have to earn a really high amount of money. I think 56,000 per year or
Yes.
something like this.
Yes.
And is it per month, right? 56,000 per month.
No, yearly.
56 per year, 56 per year. And to get this visa, mostly people with like IT,
Yes.
people who are like in these kinds of jobs are the ones that get it. I just want to
That's
explain for people who don't understand
no,
what
but it's
blue
good
card
that you
visa is.
explain
Yes.
because
Yeah.
so
So
and
you
for
were
in my
just a
case,
student.
yes, and
Yeah.
for my case, I am public relation, so it would be really hard for me to get a blue card. I needed to
Yeah.
get a really good salary, an amazing
Yeah.
salary, and the company needs to justify why a
Yeah.
Brazilian professional, why
Yeah.
not a German,
Because,
why not an European, why not a Schengen? So like they
yeah,
need to
there's a lot of
try.
limitations. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I said, okay, if I get everything for a blue card, I'm in. On the next day, I gave just a small paper to my boss, like, here's how much I need to earn to get.
So you work, just to make this clear, you're coming from a student 20-hour per week payment. How much money were you earning per hour?
12 years, 12,
12,
ye- 12,
12
12
year.
euros.
That was above minimum wage though. Like you were like getting
No,
good. Because
no,
minimum
no,
wage must have been like €9 then, right? €9?
no. The,
8?
Resty, the minimum age today, it's 12
No, no,
euros per
I
hour.
mean like when you were working at that moment, the minimum wage was probably above about €9, but you
Ah,
were earning above minimum wage. So for a student, that's okay, but still. So
yes.
for you to come from €12 per hour to 56,000, that was a
No, but
huge and bold demand from your
what
boss.
is
I
really
love that.
nice is that my boss just looked the paper and he said, Talita, are you crazy? No way. We're not going to pay you that. First of all, you're not even finished your master. Second,
Yes.
we do
That was
not
a really
recognize
boss
here.
move. Like, yeah, that.
We do not recognize here the experience
Yeah.
that you have in Brazil. Third, you don't even have from Brazil the experience we acquired here.
That was a real bold move. Like, I love that. I
And then
love
I
that.
said, okay, I'm fine. I can live with that, you know. It's
You
your
stuck by it.
call.
You
And I said,
stuck by
no.
it.
Yeah. So,
Were you
and
afraid they might say no?
no,
You didn't care.
I didn't care because for me, the sign was if God is with me, it will work out. I cannot push too much.
So
Otherwise,
it was your faith. It was your
it
crazy
was
faith.
this was definitely one of the highest, faith experience
Levels.
I had.
Yes.
Because actually then my boss called me later at the same day and said, Talita, I spoke here internally, we can pay you that. Let's say that what I was requesting was here, the payment they want to give me was here.
Less. Mm-hmm.
It was, long story short, 2 weeks of comes and goes,
You refused to
refusing
take
all the
the,
time.
which was high for a student, right? Whatever they were paying you
It
was
was
still going to
higher
be
for
good
a
enough.
professional. A friend of mine, I told her here in Germany, and she said, Talita, I am an engineer. And for me, my colleagues are getting the jobs here as a professional, as someone with master.
Yes.
And I kept refusing. And I kept saying no, 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 no. At the last day, they said, Talita, we can offer you that. It was a slightly difference.
Slight from what you asked for.
Yes. This time I felt like, God, it's really a lot. Should I take? And I just felt in my heart, no,
Stick to your guts. Yeah.
no. It's not the sign that I am with you unless you want to go alone. And I said, no way. No way. And then I said no to the secretary. And she said to me, Talita, I have no idea how. Why are you doing that? I have never seen this before. Have you an idea that how much money is that? And many of other professionals, they don't have this opportunity as you are having
Yeah.
now. You
Mostly in
even
the
didn't
in the
finish
humanities. In the
your
humanities,
master yet.
we rarely get this much money in the.
And I told her, listen, I haven't changed my mind, not even for a second. You are calling me, you guys are insisting, and I am, so it's an honor, but my answer is still no. And she said, okay, I will leave your message to the board. And if I don't call you till today at 4 p.m., it's because you are
You
out of
didn't
it.
get it.
And I said, okay, fine. Then my heart was like, oh my God, have I done it right? But I said, I will keep my faith. I will keep it. I don't want to play with this. 4 p.m., she didn't call. 5 p.m., she didn't call. It was already like almost 10 p.m. My boss called me. Talita, what are you doing? I was here in meetings with other departments, reunion, so some budget. And we got the budget to pay you. You will have what you
That's some huge favor. But I also do believe, like, yes, it's favor and faith, but you, even when you didn't have what you thought it took to get the job, you were showing them that you came into this country, you didn't know how to speak the language, like your authenticity and the hard work that you showed them made them see, okay, she is worth taking a risk on.
Yes.
And yeah, that's quite a really, really inspiring story,
It
Talita.
was
That's quite
really an
inspiring.
amazing experience. From
Yeah.
work student, I got a blue card. So, and I worked in this company for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Till I resigned, I had the chance to bring all my contribution to them, to the sector. I had an amazing team, so it was amazing working with that people. And I felt in my heart, it's time to go. And I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to resign. My
So
boss
this
came.
was when you had the plan to start the company, or you wanted to
I
go to
always
another
had the
job?
plan to start the company. I came here to study an MBA, which is also another story I can tell in another opportunity, because it turns out that at the end, I study entrepreneurship here. So this certification of entrepreneurship gives me the opportunity to have my own business here.
Yeah, yeah.
So I knew it. God had told me beforehand that anytime I would have my own business, but I didn't know what. I didn't know exactly what I would do. I was waiting for the great idea. I had an idea to start an e-commerce after the pandemic. It's a long story, Rusty, because with the blue card, if you keep the blue card for 21 months, you are able to request the permanent residence. And I was about to, I had 20 months already with the blue card when I lost my job. This was a second job. I was working for an English company with the same salary, by the way.
Yeah.
I did not want, but
Oh, you
tried.
lost the job. This is the job you lost because of COVID, right?
Of COVID. Yes, I
Yeah.
was the first employee here in Germany in a expansion
Mm-hmm.
plan
Expand. Yeah.
yeah, of this company in England. And when the pandemic started, so I was also the first to go.
To go. Yeah. And
Yes.
you poured all your resources. Just tell us a little bit about your the first company, the e-commerce that you started, and then the company that you're doing right now. And yeah.
Yeah, I started this e-commerce, which was so like present things and paper thing, papierware.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
the name
Yeah.
exactly in English.
Paper, like paper stickers and stuff with
Stationery,
affirmations.
stationery stuff.
Stationery,
Now,
yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So it was a really nice experience because it was not too big. It was, the idea was very simple, but gave me the opportunity to learn a lot. This company didn't give me financial profits, but gave me the most amazing learning
Experience,
information
yeah.
experience profits. You
Yeah.
know, that's why I'm so grateful for having this first experience before, because when I had the great idea what I am doing now, I have an agency here in Germany for people who wants to come to Germany. The differential is that we are a point of support here, local. I used to have my agency in Brazil, but whenever the person, so if the person is gone, I cannot help anymore.
Yes, yes.
You know?
I really saw how hard that is. Like when you get here, you're on your own.
It's another world. There are so many rules. The bureaucracy, it's hard. You have to apply for the visa. There are so many things that you will get to know only when you arrive here. And now being here, I can be this point of support. So all the time, I realized that there were many people who wants to come to Germany, but they are afraid of. They are
Yeah.
afraid because they don't want to have any problem that they have to face in Germany, in German.
Okay. Just for clarification, before all my people in Africa call you,
They can call me. It's okay.
you're making the dream possible. So, are you able to do this for every person in the world, or are you only focusing on Brazil right now? Because
I
there might
already
be
have.
opportunities for people to call you and say, "Hey, Resty, tell Talita I want to come to Germany." Please
No,
clarify.
this is what I think makes my business very special and with a huge potential. It's not only for
It
Brazilians.
is. Yes,
It's
yes.
not only for Brazilians. Now that I can speak
And your website has both English
English
and
and
Portuguese.
Portuguese.
Yes.
Of course, I know more about Brazilian. I know more about the culture. I
Yeah.
know what are the pains when they think coming to Germany. But I have one client from Madagascar and another one from Angola.
That's really amazing, because remember when we were working at the former company where we were working, we did have a lot of people who were calling us and saying, I want to come to
Uh-huh.
study, or how can I come and work there? And it's always something that you see, in many cases, what I used to try to explain to people is that these people are actually highly qualified. They are educated, but they just want a start. So
Of
for you, your
course.
start was, you were educated, you had a business back home, you had a good life, but you wanted more. Like, you wanted more for your life. You came here, you worked as an au pair. An au pair, in many cases, people just look at it, yeah, just you want to come take care of someone's children, but that's just an opportunity for you to learn. That's why these visas are made. I've met so many people who have done au pair, even Germans who have gone to America to do au
A
pair.
lot.
And that's something that many cases people look at that opportunity as something that's so low. But no matter how qualified you are, this is something that opens you up to the world that you're looking at. And then secondly, the people who are trying to come here, it's not because, we are poor, we have nothing to do. We just want more from life. Like, COVID hit, we are getting terrible salaries back home. People lost their jobs. And it's interesting to know that it's not only in Africa where people are like dying to come into Europe. It's people who are in Brazil, people from Madagascar, you said Angola, people from all over the world want to come into Europe and tap into this European
Yeah,
thing.
actually, I will tell you how I feel, regarding this thing. It's not about that I need or I want a better life. Also, of course, it comes along all those things, but I like the freedom to walk in this world, so freely.
Yeah.
I don't have to explain. I feel the call in my heart to go to Germany. I go to Germany.
Yes.
There are a
It's a
lot of people
global
going
world
to
right now.
America and going to
Yeah.
Canada. There are people from those places going to Africa, going to Brazil.
Exactly.
And that's
Yes.
amazing because people can come and go this world. Of course, we need to observe all the laws and regulations and everything.
Yeah. To
But
do it
as a
legally.
child of
Yeah.
God, I walk like I know the doors will open.
Yes, that's faith. And I like the fact that you helping people, because in many cases, people will have the education. They might actually have the money, because the people they are paying money to come here to bring them illegally are also
Oh,
charging a lot of money. But you can actually do it legally and find
legally.
yourself in you have more opportunities because of that, and you're free to do a lot of things. So yes, I will definitely put your link
Nice.
so that people can reach out to you. And yeah, just before we conclude, just tell us a little bit, because I know you got married at 30.
Say it again.
When you got married, because I know, like, I'm trying to show people, like, while you were achieving all this, you were a single
Actually,
woman.
this would be a topic for a whole new
I
episode
know. Just
because it's
just give up.
huge.
Just give us like okay. Just answer the
A little
question. You got
taste.
married. Yeah, a little test.
A little.
You were doing all these things. You had reached your 30s when you were done with your master's studies.
Yes.
Not married,
No.
and you
And I
like
came.
society. I'm trying to build like the whole society expectation thing.
Yeah.
And you are now married. You have your career. So, just briefly before we conclude, tell us just this part of your life, because so many women will chase after their dreams and stop because they want to also get this other part of life. And like, you know what? Let me just get married, let me have children and put this on the side. It will come in the future. But you said, I'm going to fight for this career and
Yeah.
then the man will come. So, tell us just briefly a little bit
Yeah.
about this.
Actually, I don't know if I was so aware of this division, because I was expecting to get married by the age of 25, latest. I
All of
came
us, girl.
from a
Okay,
Christian
most of us.
family, and I
Yes.
grew up with the idea of getting married and having people and just taking care of my house. But it didn't happen that way. So at the end, I find out myself being very busy with career, traveling, and doing a lot of things, which made me think that I would not get married or that I even don't need a man or a husband, which was a lie, in my head. I feel that I am not the same person from 3 years ago when I got married, and now I see how it has to do with balance, with nature. You know, it's so much more complex, the idea of having a partner. Um, but I got married by the age of 36 years old, which for me, all my parents, this, so my circle was already like done with the idea that Talita didn't get married.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I think that's really really interesting because in many cases, many of us feel like, yeah, I have to do it at this time, but we neglect the fact that some other thing is going right for us. Like there are people who are married at 25, but they have no career.
Yes.
So you have to look at your life and be like, okay, at least I have something. This will also come. Like you don't have to force it.
I
Yes.
I I cannot say like yes, sure, of course,
Ah,
because
yes. The
actually I
reality is
remember
different. I
by the
know.
age of 26 I was like, why? Why? I don't care. I don't care about everything I have so far if I don't have someone, to share with me. It's like it was a little bit like, um, what for? Of course, now that everything came together, I can see the big picture, I can understand a little bit more, and I'm very grateful for the whole process.
Yes. And just so you don't have to tell the story, I will just briefly tell your story. Talita ended up marrying someone she had known from her childhood. And someone who, it's so amazing how everything in your life worked out because you just let the process go. Like you had faith, you let the process go. You ended up marrying someone you had known your whole life, and it took you years apart, but when the time was right, it was right. And right now you're living together, you're building your business, you're thriving. You decided to leave your job and focus on this job to help people. I do not think your job is just a job to make money. I have seen you
No,
really love it, you really want to help people, and that's something that I really appreciate about you. It's clearly your purpose because you have the experience from back home.
exactly.
Yeah, so that's really good. Okay, Talita, just before we close out, just from your life experience, you said growing up, feeling different, being more mature than others. When I look at you, when I sum up your whole life to where you are right now, if I'm to like write an autobiography about your life, I just feel like everything, every little detail about your life, it was a piece of a puzzle that has led you to where you are right now. Because the first time I met you, I probably thought you were like 40 something years old. Like you hold yourself in such a mature way. You always like treat you like you're so kind, you're so nice to people, and you always break barriers. Like I think I've met people who own businesses, but you're the first student I met who told me, yes, it's not that hard to own a business. And it opened me to opportunities to think this. And you're always willing to give your to give your advice to people. Like you don't want to keep stuff to yourself. So this is something that shows me that you have overcome a lot of challenges to get to where you are, and you're willing to always help people. I guess that's also because you're coming from a really grounded faith background. But just speak to a woman out there, a student out there who is mature for her age, who is not married at 26, like you said, or 30, and they're like, okay, it's coming to an end right now. And just speak to anyone from your experience of life. What would you tell a woman out there that's listening?
Life is much more than we can see with our eyes and touch with our hands. So, regardless of what you are living today, try to see beyond. God is taking care, and He has the best for me and for you. We just have to trust. It's like the nature. Nature is just growing. They are not afraid. They don't have anxious. And if you want to go, if you want to do something different, if you want to live in another country, learn a different language, don't let the fear stop you. Don't let your circumstances stop you. Go for it. Search for a way. Search for a door. You will find it. And if you need my help, if I can, you need so at least talk to you, tell you your possibilities, your options. I will be really glad to do.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Talita. I really appreciate that. For those who made it until the end, I just want to thank you once again for giving Talita, another woman out there, space to share their story and their triumphs and challenges, and be able to openly reflect on their lives and see where they have come, see how far they have come. I do know that this will inspire so many of you out there, and this will show you that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, anything is possible. Talita, thank you so much for sharing, for being so open, for making the time. I really appreciate you, and I honestly do hope that we will be able to cooperate in the future. For those who are looking for Talita's information, I will put the website in the show notes below, and on my social media, I'll tag her so that anyone who is willing to use her services to travel to Germany for study or for work, you can easily reach out to her. So I guess that's it. We will hear from each other next week, same time, same place. Please help me spread the word by sharing our episodes with your friends, family, and followers. Let's amplify the voices of women, break barriers, challenge stereotypes, and create a network of support and empowerment. Together, we can bring about positive change and make this world a better place for all. This is SheCentre, the female podcast, where women's stories matter. I love you all. God bless.